The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU. HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment. Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm attorney Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
this is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network, online at www.mybcsn.net, and on the BCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Five-star backyards, Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant-quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes, even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. Number 15?
Never not working.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Head & Shoulders scalp shield, never not working.
Hello, good evening, happy holidays, Rattler Nation. I'm Brian Fulford. That's Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway, and Marcus Greene. We are the O&G Strike Zone, and it's a pleasure to be with you here in the middle of the week. Christmas is right around the corner. It's Hump Day. It is also National Early Signing Day. So lots of good stuff to talk about here today as we celebrate Christmas. Our men's basketball team is currently in the Bluegrass State, being competitive with University of Kentucky. Halftime score, 42-32. Kentucky is still a live 28.5-point favorite. For those of you who wonder about those kind of things, any chance there's a Christmas miracle, Kelvin? If I put a little sprinkle on FAMU plus 28.5. Will Santa come home for me tonight? What do you say, Kelvin?
I'm a Rattler, man. I'm always have hope, but that's between you and Santa, bro.
Hey, Kofi's shaking his head like, Kofi, go ahead, say it.
You know they have that little gift out.
Hey, that thing bigger than Nino right there, buddy.
Look, they had a little side-eye gift like this when the bruh be going like this.
Like, I don't know if you want to do that.
I don't know what's
in that stocking. Marcus, do you feel
you might have been sipping on the eggnog a little bit too much, but if you feel it,
you know what? Hey, that's what I'm missing.
Hey, if you feeling froggy, go on and jump.
Look, Marcus, You want to talk me off the ledge? You want to talk me off the ledge, Marcus?
Now, I mean, because they're about halfway to their scoring total average now. So, I don't know. UK probably gonna.
Wait a minute. Who's at their scoring average? Us or Kentucky? Probably us.
Us.
Probably us. Yeah, we're probably over the average. I don't know what it is, but I've been seeing a lot of 50s and 60s.
Yep. Low 50s, I think, is our average, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's a good.
We're ahead of the
question.
curve.
Oh man. Well, the start of the second half has already started. You brought up a good question there. Well, first off, let me get the regular stuff out of the way. Hello to everybody watching us on YouTube and Facebook. We thank you for joining us. Those on Twitter as well. Please make sure to like the stream wherever you're at. Give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it with Rattler Nation if you can. Make sure you're following the ONG on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ONG Strike Zone. Download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app. We are a part of the Jericho Broadcast Networks. Right there on the Google Play and Apple App Store, my JBN and my BCSN is where you can find that app. Question of the day for you guys: what do you like in your eggnog? Do you like it plain, ice, little something in it? What do you like in your eggnog, Kofi?
I was gonna say a little Kahlua, Irish cream. That always goes nice and well. Night with a nice little dash of Hennessy.
all that in the eggnog? Good Lord, man, you trying to sleep for days, huh?
Not sleep, it's just good. I remember, do you remember the first time you had eggnog? Like the unique flavor and taste of it?
Yes.
And how it just blessed your soul. It was just like, and I'm a flavor connoisseur anyway, so I'm always trying to tweak and try to see if certain flavors match. But I remember that first eggnog was just like, this is some good stuff, man. I like eggnog. So,
like, why isn't this available all year round? Is my first.
Right.
That was my first question. It was like, why is this just being held around for like the last 2 months of the year?
Right.
I agree, man. I love eggnog, and I like mine with bourbon.
Yeah. That's a good choice. How about you, Mark?
I like it straight. I don't think I've ever had it with
eggnog.
alcohol in it. Yeah.
Okay.
I like the sweet.
Okay.
I'm fine. I like Kahlua though. I might have to try that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just a little thought out there for you guys in the chats. Just a little something to discuss. Man, if you guys got some good holiday recipes, feel free to share. You can always email them to us at ongstrikezone@gmail.com. Any good holiday drink recipes. That time is coming where you're gonna be with your family and everything. Kelvin over there sweating. I don't know, he might be on some holiday spirits
Yeah,
already.
man, I'm coming out of all this hot stuff. By the next segment, I'm gonna be butt naked.
Oh, well, we got a guest. Next segment. So please don't.
Okay.
Please don't do that. Hey,
but
all right.
So
Mississippi Valley.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mississippi Valley.
National Signing Day, fellas, has already hit the early signing period in Florida A&M. By my count, as of going into this show, we have 9 early signees. We have also a handful of commitments that we anticipate. I don't know if they'll be necessarily signing today in the upcoming days or if they're going to hold off until a little bit later. And, Marcus does a great job of tracking all of this. Coach Simmons had his press conference to just kind of, talk about the 8 signings. And one of the things, obviously, that came out of that presser was notably the date of this particular signing day. The fact that it was a week later. It actually falls, it's actually his anniversary. Happy anniversary to Mr. and Mrs. Simmons. So it actually fell during their anniversary week, which is today, and where last year it was a week before. And it also, I made the point several times about how the date really affected everything that happened and why Deion Sanders couldn't wait, and had to do what he had to do when he had to do it, is because of today. The date on the calendar is just one of those unfortunate days. Marcus, as you've been tracking this early signing day and just the signing day in general, what's your good, bad, your take on this time in the schedule for coaches, programs? Do you like the early signing period when it is? Do you wish it were just one day in February? What's your initial thoughts before we get into talking about the new crop of Rattlers?
Well, it's a convergence of a lot of different things. You've had a lot of things change in the last 5 years between the transfer portal, the relaxed version, if you will, because we were accustomed to, okay, you can drop down from FBS to FCS, or you could go lateral with a year sit out. But now that they wiped that out, so you have the transfer portal. At first, it was the Wild Wild West anytime during the year, but now they have these. This is the first instance where we have the window. So you have the window that opened, I believe, December 5th. It was 2 weeks from this past Monday for FBS, and I think the week before for FCS. So now you have all that converging with the typical um, Black Monday, if you will, for college coaches. And then you have the early signing period, which is also a new advent with the last 5 or 6 years. So there's a lot going on within a 3-week time frame. And so it's accelerated everything, it's made people a lot more desperate and a higher sense of urgency. So it's good for chaos, it's good for fodder, but I don't know how sustainable it is long term. People are going to get burned out, and it may be what do you call that? It may be a vicious cycle in that you see kids dropping down, or jumping in the portal because maybe they made a choice that was pressed upon them or they thought was good and didn't do enough research. So now they're in the portal, and then having the accelerated date with the early signing day and the transport in the portal window, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy just on the hamster wheel. So I don't know if I don't. The early returns on it is looking like chaos.
Kelvin, what are your thoughts?
I think they got it right at the end of the day. For in order to have mid-season transfers, so that they're eligible to participate, to get in and to participate in the spring ball, then you have to have it prior to really the Christmas break. So having two signing periods makes sense. This signing period and then the one in February. So, for those who it doesn't matter if they don't want to lock in, they don't want to do mid-term transfers, or if some kids have some things they need to work on in terms of an AAA for the transfer students or something like that. There's other opportunities. But I think it helped the coaches with roster management right now as soon as the season over with, right? Know who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, how many scholarships available, and then to lock in players earlier. So I think it's an advantage to the coaches and to the players who absolutely know where they want to go, that they can go ahead and as bowl season start, those players can lock in, and then the NCAA I thought did something smart for a change, which is rare with NCAA in terms of allowing teams to flex their roster a little bit, because there were players who was transferring, going pro, not participating, and all these other factors. So some of these teams going to bowl games were running a little short on numbers. So so that was a plus. And so out of all the different systems they've had previously, I have to say I like this one the best, because it's more fair to, in my opinion, where it matters, the players and the teams. It gives them a little flexibility.
Kofi, what about you? What are your thoughts on the early signing period?
Oh, I like it. It's just another opportunity to talk about sports, just to get, from the biggest time of the year for us. Normally it's just a down period basically until February, but now it's practically just, this is like an early Christmas gift um, for a rabid football fans. We're out here, we're talking about FAMU football right now. It's got us looking forward to February the 2nd. And me personally, I would like to see us, the schools just begin to find new and creative ways to engage fans and to monetize this day in a way. I think that there are, especially with rabid fan bases, you know, people will pay for access to information. They'll pay for opportunities to connect and to I want to say to vibe with one another, to talk trash, and to do all these things. All of these things, just finding a way to do it and monetize it, I think would be even more phenomenal.
I like that thought. Okay, so let's get into some of the some of the names that have been that have already signed. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we will have one of our signees, Levontai Summersett, a young man, a high school recruit from out of North Fort Myers, running back. We'll be talking to him at the bottom of the hour. Get a chance to find out why he chose FAMU. He committed. Marcus, when did he commit? Back in late summer, didn't he? Right before his senior season, or
It was before his senior. I want to say it was like in March.
yeah, back. Okay, maybe.
Let me see. Yeah, March 15th
Wow.
was the
Yeah.
offer date, and he committed the next day.
Okay, great. And he held on. He held on. Didn't flip. Signed today. So we look forward to talking to him. Let me give a quick shout out to the folks in the chat rooms that I see in there. Dr. Lori, hello to you. Larry Smith, Mary 305, Tamara T, Melissa Wilson, Watch JD TV, Jay Stokes. I saw anybody on the hello to you guys, all of you. Also, some folks there on Facebook as well. I know I think I saw Chuck Hunt in there, and I know Floyd Hill's in there watching, quietly
All
watching,
right.
So I know we got a few people. Fangs up in the house, Keith Hadley. So good to see you. All right, so let's get into some of these names, and then any name that we don't get to will come up with a little bit later. And so what you'll see, we'll kind of run these names down in alphabetical order, give you a little bit of film behind them. So I'll just throw the name out, Marcus. I'll let you do the talking while we maybe watch a little video. So this is for those of you watching us on YouTube, Facebook, you get a chance to watch a little bit of video. If you're on the podcast audio version, you're just going to be listening to Marcus and us guys talk. First up, we've got probably the last signee of today, and actually the ninth today, was a defensive end / linebacker, Tyrese Gibson Battles. He signed in today. Marcus, what can you tell us about Tyrese?
Well, he goes around 6'4", 240 to 250 from Maple Heights High School in Maple Heights, Ohio, which I believe is a suburb of Cleveland. He's coming from Garden City Community College out in Kansas, but he started out after graduating from high school at Urbana University D2 school. And it looks like Urbana, I don't know if they ceased sports operation due to COVID, if it was temporary. And then in 2021, they didn't field a team or they canceled varsity. So he ended up at Garden City. But he comes through, he's got a pretty high motor in high school. His senior year, they went to the third round of the State of Ohio playoffs. So if that gives you any sense of indication of the caliber of team that he was playing on. And I just look forward to seeing him to adding to the pass rush. And just based on his size, I mean, he's a little bigger than an Isaiah Land, if you will, but I can see him being in that rotation and having a significant impact there.
Kelvin, Kofi, jump in there. Any thoughts as you kind of watch a little bit of that film? Any comparisons? Anything that you see there? Anything you want to comment on?
I think Marcus hit it on the head. I immediately thought of Isaiah Land, even though he has a little bit more size to him right now. Denzel came in, but he seems like a great potential uh, pass special at that position. We have some turning, and so he just come in and contribute and add depth. But it's a solid pickup. Great size, length.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Great size. What about you, Kofi?
I like the fact that when he hits people, they go down. You know,
That's important.
that's very important. You know, and you need that play up front, and we've already got depth. Like we're adding depth to the line, and I think that
Yes.
is vital. That is important. I like his speed. I like his explosion, and I like all these tackles for losses. As we sit up there in Section P, well, the section formerly known as Section P, now Section O. When we say push them back, shove them back, way back, that means something. You know what I'm saying? To have somebody that can actually push them back and shove them back. But this is a good find for our defense, man. I like it.
Yeah, one of the things that I recall from the presser with Coach Simmons, he's very adamant about wanting to build on these early signing days from the inside. Continuing, as you said, to build the depth, build from the inside. I mean, I don't think he understands that there's a lot of skill position guys that can come, but he knows where games are won. I mean, look, we just saw a great celebration bowl that was won in the trenches. And so if that's where we're going to get to and in 2023 against North Carolina Central, my way early prediction, then we got to be able to deal up front. Yeah, so good deal. All right, let's go to another signee. This is a signee, a running back, a young man by the name of Kelvin Dean. Kelvin Dean signed today. Marcus, tell us about Kelvin Dean.
Well, he's from the area, from the Big Bend. He started out back in high school at Chipley High School, and he basically was first team offense and offensive player of the year. And then he transferred to Rickards for his last year. Still made um, the Big Bend, the 2018 All Big Bend team. And then he went down to FAU. And FAMU offered him back in June of 2018, right before his senior year. And so we've been waiting on him for like 2-3 years or whatever. How about, man, almost 4 years. So you look at it, we offered him back then. He opted to go to Florida Atlantic, went down there, and had a little bit of playing time, maybe not as much as he had anticipated. He went down there under Kiffin, and then Kiffin
Two
moved
coaches
on
ago
to
now.
bigger and
Kiffin
better,
was two
and
coaches
then
ago, correct?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, you had a coaching change, and who knows in terms of the philosophy, in terms of the coaching. And so the opportunity presented itself. The portal opened, put his name in, and he got a chance to get reunited and come back home. But
Years
he
of
looks to be the
eligibility.
explosive back. It looks a little bit bigger. Looks to be an explosive back that I would say less bulky than AJ Davis in terms of weight, but probably closer to a breakaway threat that we'd like to have. I would probably say somewhere in between an AJ Davis and a Bishop Bonnet. Maybe not as small and maybe not as fast, but a good medium between the two extremes, between AJ Davis and Bishop Bonnet.
6'1", 195. How many years of eligibility does it look like he has? Given, I mean, I know there's a
Right?
COVID year in there as
believe
well.
he has 2.
Yeah.
I believe he has 2, but we can double check.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe
Looks
that's
like
right.
two.
He has 2.
Well,
what
I
do you
know we
guys
rarely sign transfer players that don't have.
don't have? What, at least two left? Was that what he was thinking?
I think that's what he was
I'm
saying.
thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you
Yeah,
look at the trend. I don't think we've had very many 1 year wonders. I think the exception was the young man from Florida State, the defensive end in 2000 in 2021.
yeah. What do you guys, just real quick, in terms of coming from, a program, not necessarily a Power Five program, but an in-state program. I think it was interesting to hear Coach Simmons talk about the history of FAMU in that it's sort of built on transfers, so to speak. It's like, yes, there are some high school, it's almost a 50-50 mix. I mean, yes, there are the high school recruits, guys who have come in and excelled, but it's also built on the guys who sort of came for a second chance, so to speak, or guys who maybe missed out, didn't come in the first opportunity because of whatever reasons, but then they decided to come back and then they found home. What do you guys? What's your take on or your thoughts on Coach Simmons' comment about that? You agree with that take, Kofi, and then Kelvin?
In terms of us always being built.
Well, I think what he was trying to say is since the Billy Joe era, and I don't
Okay.
think he was necessarily speaking before Billy Joe, but at least
Right.
since the Billy Joe era, when we've been successful, we've sort of built ourselves out of a good healthy mix of transfers.
Oh, absolutely. They're definitely um, a difference maker for our team. I'm happy that Billy Joe actually came in and really started that trend. It gave us an opportunity to recover kids and to see what was out there, and it really changed the game, not just at FAMU, but other HBCUs as well. Um, once we started doing it, started beating people down, and other people started doing the exact same thing. Um, so yeah, transfers have always been a part of what we do. It's not new. The social media has obviously amplified the effect of it, and I think just the additional signing day that we now have has also amplified that opportunity. In addition to the transfer portal, which has changed, I believe, college football um, forever, man. I think it's tremendous. It's been a part of our template, and as long as you're successful with it, people don't complain. And as long as you don't allow it to affect your APR, you know, you got a good shot. So I'm with it.
You want to close us off with a final thought on that, Kelvin, before we go to break?
One and be caution about it. My caution is you have to be careful with it because, you know, with compliance so forth. There's rules and regulations, and everybody has to be on the same page with that. So it can be a double edged if you don't have the resources or you're not on top of those type things, and that would be one caution with it. And of course, people do it mainly because you it takes generally high school kids a little more time to they should be or as be or just hadn't had as much experience because in high school, coaches kind of put the best athletes around the ball and let them do their thing. So they may not be from a scheme or technique standpoint fundamentally sound, or they just was the best athlete on the team and they want to push. And now the competition is higher. So what you get what now? In the trenches, that's the hardest position to project from, especially from high school. It's really hit and miss. and it usually takes a little longer for the skilled people. You know, they'll pick it up, but you know, with the line, it's really hit and miss. So it makes sense, and if you want to consistently be competitive, you know, for the kids.
All right. Keith tells me that our men's basketball team is putting up a fight in Lexington. That's good to know. Keep scoring points. I took over 151 and a half. So let's keep scoring points, FAMU. Let's go. Let's go. Let's keep scoring points. And then you know, might be some Christmas goodies for you boy coming in, you know. So let's let's take a break. Come back out of the break. Hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to one of our newest recruits, Levontai Bo Summersett on the other side. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Whether it's advice on managing your anxiety or tools to help you stay grounded, Coping-19 provides a range of resources and self-care tips to help you cope with this pandemic. We can help. Find the resources that work best for you at coping-19.org.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
One bite of 100% Angus beef ballpark frank, and you'll say, hello, summer. Oh yeah, it's ballpark season.
Welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway, Marcus Greene. We are on National Early Signing Day, just kind of doing a recap of the 9 signees, as well as a few of the early commitments that are going to be making their way to the highest of 7 Hills to play for Coach Simmons and our FAMU football team. Live updates, though, of our men's basketball team trailing by 10. That's 10. 10 with the under 8 timeout Who would have thought it? The live line is 18 and a half. Vegas doesn't even believe what they're watching right now. Your boy took the over 151 and a half points. So let's just hope that the points keep coming. What is our scoring average on the season, Kelvin? Aren't we already at our scoring average practically right now?
It can't be no more than about 50 points a game, 51, 52. I would guess. I'm not sure off the top of my head though.
Yeah. So this is a big step forward. This comes on the heels of the men. We actually lost the game that I was sick watching. We lost to Louisville by 6. Louisville, one of the worst rated teams in college basketball. To be an ACC team with the kind of budget they have. They came out and lost to Lipscomb the next day earlier this week, so they are bad. But anyway, we missed a chance to knock them off. So it'd be great for us to let's see. In some circles, they call it a win, even though on the scoreboard it doesn't reflect the win. Okay, how about that? We met expectations, or we covered expectations, so to speak. So let's just see if FAMU can kind of keep it going. You guys keep us posted in the chat room. Coming up shortly, we'll be joined by Levontai Summersett, one of our 9 latest signees. But while we wait on him, let's keep going with our next signee, and it is a wide receiver, a young man by the name of Jamari Gassett. What can you tell us about Jamari?
Well,
Marcus?
I like him. I was watching his film.
Loss of 2.
And
a pump
my
fake on the
first
screen, go
thought
down the
was
side.
Xavier Smith 2.0. Just his route running and his speed. And you probably see it in the initial clip that, he came in, he was very highly rated as a 3-star player from Tampa Bay Tech in the class of 2021, where his team actually went to the fall 2020, which was the COVID shortened season. But Tampa Bay Tech still went to the finals, lost to Bloomington. So he has talent. And when you look at his play and his route running and his speed, you could very easily see him plugged into the Xavier Smith role or the Xavier Smith position in the offense. So hopefully he can match and even potentially exceed that as it relates to how he fits in the offense as a whole. So we're not losing much going from this year to next year.
Yeah, 5'10", 171. What are your? He's a 3-star coming out of high school. Your thoughts, Kofi?
He's got good speed. He's getting behind defenders. That's what you want to see. You want to see some explosion, as you're seeing there, seeing him run by people. That's that's always a good attribute. Run away from people. He's a playmaker, and that's one of the things that we needed with this offense. We were very methodical, and Coach Simmons' offense is built around explosive plays, and he's one of the guys that can give us that. So I like his addition.
Kelvin. We may not be picking up Kelvin's audio. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Make sure here. You got me?
Sure, we got you. Yeah, we got you now. Go ahead.
Okay. So we're losing Zay, but we do have a nice set of receivers and tight ends. We have weapons, and so
we're losing you there, Kelvin. Not really sure. You coming kind of in and out there.
All right. You hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Yes,
I got you. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just saying, Florida kid coming home. I think we use him kind of in the Zay role. It's competition. Just adding depth and as the kid know how to find the end zone and catch the ball. So that's a good thing when your head coach nickname is shot. So looking forward to what he.
Hey, any of you guys? I always thought Buffalo's offense was a bit up tempo, likes to put points on the board. Um, Marcus, are you able to assess or recall what um, what Buffalo's offensive production was? I think that's why I like the fit. I like this fit of Jamari fitting in. And you talked about the we do have Jamari Shareed coming back another year, but being able to have somebody who's been in an offense that is probably very similar to ours and has been productive. I think that's a valuable signing.
It is. I've not watched their offense per se, but just looking at the few plays that were run in some of his highlights, it looks very similar to what we like to do in terms of one back set, having multiple wide receivers. So I think it'll be a good fit. And with his speed and coming back home, if you will, to the state of Florida, I think it'll be a boon for us. That I know for me, if I were to say the MVP of this football season, it would probably be the depth that was acquired by Coach Simmons and the team. And even though we had great players, but you look at just about every position, we had, barring injury, we had a lot of quality people that we could rotate in and out so we don't have any drop off when we're bringing in the second team or when we're rotating someone out to catch a breather. And I think he'll add to that and provide, the same, if not more, dare I say, than Zay did. So I'm looking forward to seeing his production in combination with everybody else that we have. So just make it that much more difficult to guard when we're dropping back to pass.
Real quick, Marcus, the guy from we had a wide receiver last year. He came up from Division II. I think it was what was his name?
I think Trevante Smith. I have to double check.
Right.
I know
he
he's
was
from
making a ton of plays in the camp, and then during the season,
he got hurt.
I didn't see him anymore. So I'm thinking that he's gonna be back.
Ups and
In
downs.
addition to the young man from Virginia State that did not get the opportunity to play this year, Marquez. I didn't see that he had decommitted or signed somewhere else. He's supposed to be back as well, correct?
Yes, we're going to have a lot of depth. To watch. Be a challenge, but everyone's stepping up to the plate. We're going to have a good rotation of people in and out, and hopefully give the defenses fits. But there's a lot of depth, and I guess all the experience, with the exception of Jamari Shareed and David Manigo, if he returns, all that. I mean, they're the most senior players coming back, and everybody else is going to be brand new, so they're going to be fighting for spots, but providing some additional talents that we haven't yet seen on the field.
Yeah, I was just sitting here kind of looking and trying to get an assessment of where Buffalo's offense was.
Trevante Davis is the wide receiver from Wayne State. And speaking of that, just a quick note, it seems like the last few years, not just at the wide receiver, but our recruiting has done a good job of picking up talent coming out of the Division II ranks. And, you look at Bishop Bonnet, he transferred here actually under the old coach, but he came from, I think he spent his freshman year. Can't remember what school. I want to say like Benedict or someplace like that. Came back to FAMU. And then you look at one of the defensive linemen I think he came from Lane. He's one of the seniors.
Well, one of the things that I want to share, because a lot of people tend to look down on Division II football, but Division II is just, you don't have as many scholarships. It doesn't change the game. It doesn't change one's ability to play. You just don't have as many scholarships. And so a lot of times at the Division II, just because of the academic requirements of the school, it doesn't diminish one's athletic ability or their ability to play football, just because you're at Division II. At one time, FAMU was a Division II school. and we would have taken out a number of Division I teams, had we been allowed to actually play them then. It doesn't mean that you can't play football if you're coming from, if you go to a Division II school, or if you're not. And, just with the way that the portal is right now, there are going to be a lot of good, solid athletes that may not get signed at a FBS level or even an FCS level. And because the portal is so tight and packed, they're going to have to, if they want to play, they may have to go to a Division II level, but it doesn't diminish their ability to play.
Mm-hmm.
Great points.
Yep.
Great points. Let's move over to our next signee. And this one is another young man who's coming home, got some Power 5 experience behind him, and that's a defensive back, Jalen Glaze. Jalen Glaze coming home. Tell us about Jalen, Marcus.
Well, he's coming from the University of Minnesota, and I believe we had eyes on him before as well. So he's kind of like Kelvin Dean, where we extended an offer, I believe, when Quinn Gray was a head coach at Lincoln High School. And he opted for University of Minnesota, spent a couple years out there, played mostly special teams. He did have accolades in high school playing at Lincoln, where he made first team the Democrat All Big Ben team his junior and senior years. And so he's coming back, and I anticipate him really putting up a fight to get on the field. He's been battling up at Minnesota, up in the cold. So I don't know how that really worked out, but, just looking for some playing time. So I expect him to be hungry when he gets here. And you see, he has good ball skills. He had no problems with special teams. And I know last year that Coach Simmons and Coach Davis used some of the starters on special teams as well. So you'll start to see some of his skills there. But I think he'll really put up a fight to try to make the depth chart, at least the top two in the defensive backfield. And he gives us additional depth and experience there as well.
Hey, Kelvin, Kofi, I know those teams, Coach Gray. Obviously, first off, let's give some congratulations to Coach Quinn Gray on being named head coach at Albany State. Formerly spent some time. Well, currently he's an offensive analyst at Memphis. Prior to that, he was at Alcorn State, and prior to that, he was at Lincoln as a head football coach. So, what do we know about those Lincoln squads? Obviously, Lincoln has a good history. Always has competitive teams, lots of talent. What do you guys recall about some of those teams which Jalen would have been a part of?
Well, for me, I had an opportunity to be the voice of the Trojans for a couple of years. And so I saw Jalen Glaze play both his junior and senior year. And, he's a good man-to-man guy. He's got good quickness, good speed, a good nose for the football. I remember a couple of pick sixes he had, even punt returns on special teams. He's got good Florida. He's a Florida kid. Everything that you would expect. He's got a swag to him, a confidence about him, and we're gonna need all of that because again, the SWAC is a strong skill position conference, and so when you have wideouts like Jackson State has, I don't know who their QB is going to be, but they're going to be tough. We got West Florida on the schedule. They're going to spread us out. They're going to do a number of different things. Even USF playing them, that's going to be an issue, or an opportunity. I won't say issue. It's an opportunity for us to display our athleticism on defense. And I think we're actually, with the way this squad is being built, we're going to have an opportunity to play well against the University of South Florida and hopefully win. So, it comes down to trench play, but if you have playmakers out wide that can fight and contest for the ball with good ball skills, that opens the opportunity for turnovers, which gives you more opportunities for your offense to be on the field and score. So, having somebody like a Glaze who's going to attract a number of hometown family members who will want to come and see him play, I think that's a big deal.
Good point. Anything you want to add on to that, Kelv?
Just that if you notice, a lot of the kids who returning are from the area, played against a lot of the kids that are currently on the team, and those guys take great pride in coming home and trying to win a championship with the team. If you see some of the social media activities from some of those guys, um, all these guys played against each other. Lincoln is has been one of the powerhouse programs in the city. It plays at highest level. They play everybody from Valdosta, not just in the state of Florida, but in Georgia too. So he's played against great competition, and he's a great talent. And our safety right now who returning Morgan is a Florida High kid. So um, I'm pretty sure that some of these kids that come in that got relationships to the area are talking with their peers, and they have a lot of pride in FAMU. Their family members, a lot of them either work or went to FAMU. So um, I think the culture that Coach Simmons has built, and the whole family moniker, and how we as alumni talk about and revere our university, it's contagious, and it's starting to be institutionalized in everything we do. And so it's a positive, and I just look forward to Glaze coming in. He's a big hitter, good tackler, so I'm looking to see him contribute.
Pencil this. I don't want to sidetrack us, but just put this topic that I'm about to throw out there to the side and ask, man, what is it that's keeping us from getting these guys out of high school and letting them when they leave? What is it what causes them to leave? uh what are we missing? I think I kind of know the answers, some of them, but it's probably the same stuff we always talk about. But it is an interesting side discussion to have about the guys that we recruit, and then 2 years later we end up having room for them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, for me, obviously, I really believe that if we connect on this whole P3 thing with our facilities, it'll be a big deal. Um, it really sets the tone. I know we've done cosmetically about as much as we could possibly do for the field house. And I think that, given where we were, that's a major plus. All right. That being said, that's still not where we need to be from a facility standpoint if we're going to um, attract top-notch athletes. We were having a discussion today. People were upset at the basketball program. They were like, well, when we gonna get some W, we gonna get some wins, and he's been here, blah blah blah. And I said, well, let's look at the totality of it. First of all, FAMU has never won a regular season basketball title, men's basketball title, in either the MEAC or the SWAC. So we've never done it. But much of that has to do with the level of commitment that's there. And you cannot say that we're committed with with a budget of that's under $10 million. When you compare that with the University of North Carolina, whose athletic budget is $101 million. It's a big difference, when it comes to your trainers and all this other stuff. Yet and still, if FAMU finds a way to get to the 15 or the 13, between 13 and 15 million, I think that would be enough to probably put us in position to compete for conference championships in all of our sports. But, going back to the topic at hand as to why people leave, they normally leave because they want to get away from Tallahassee and basically see what else is out there. Some of them do anyway. I've been in Tallahassee all my life, and I done seen, X, Y, Z. Let me experience something else. You get up there in 20 below zero weather, and ain't nobody around that can, that's 10 minutes away or 15 minutes away from you. You'll think twice and be like, Tallahassee ain't all that bad. And you look at all the hype that FAMU is getting, especially during football season, all the press. You see all the homecomings and all the people that's there and taking selfies and pictures and loving on each other and all of that stuff.
That's a good point, man. The fact that I guess you forget about that. Guys want to get away from home, go experience something else, and then they realize it maybe in it was good couple years, good few years away from home, but yeah, I still got a good thing back home, So that's a great point. That's a great point. Let's table that. Let's table that because I didn't want it to take away from this, but it is something we can get further in depth in. All right, we got our next signee to talk about. Just checking here. See, we're still kind of reaching out right now to Levontai Summersett. Hopefully, we'll have him on.
Hey, bro.
This show. Yeah, hopefully we'll have him on before the end of the show. Obviously, it's a big day for him and his family.
Hey, Brian, resend it. Resend the link.
Okay, the email basically is what I have to resend. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that here coming up in the break. Well, let me see. Are we halfway? We're at about the halfway point. Let me do that. Let's take a break. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more signees to kind of talk about on the other side of the break. So we'll do that when we come right back after the break. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
I miss all my friends in school.
Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccine.
The Sweet and Smoky Salmon Rub infuses smoked black pepper with dehydrated maple syrup, pink Himalayan salt, ginger, thyme, mustard, and more to make a sweet, savory rub, perfect for salmon, trout, and other delicate seafood.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU. HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment. Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
Hello and welcome to the second hour of the O&G Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway, and Marcus Greene. The full squad is here today because it's National Early Signing Day. The Rattlers have the Rattler football team has signed 9 studs. I mean, the envy of the SWAC, the envy of black college football. I'm just hyping it up because that's just how I believe. I mean, look, and the rest is there's more that's coming. So we coming. We coming. We coming.
We swag.
We
Who
swag.
ain't swag
Yeah.
if we ain't swag, baby?
We swag. We swag now. It's gonna take a MEAC team to show the SWAC how to win the celebration. Oh no, let me stop. Let me not go. Let me not start nothing just yet. We'll get to talking about the Celebration Bowl coming up here shortly. But let's finish talking about our signees. The next young man that we have is an offensive lineman, one of the guys up front. Young man by the name of Ashton Grable. Big number 71, a big fella. Tell us about Ashton, Marcus.
Well, Ashton is from a Georgia boy from Irwinton. I have no idea where that is, in Wilkinson County. But he's a big boy, 6'4", 312 pounds. Played at Jacksonville State, and we kind of know, not Jackson, but Jacksonville State in Alabama. We kind of know what they're about because they've been at the top or near the top, always in the top 25 for FCS the last few years. And I believe they're part of the Atlantic Sun. I think they're transitioning to FBS within the next couple of years or so. But
yes, they are.
He came in with accolades. He was All-State in a Class 1A in Georgia and made the All-Region team at the Class 1A. And he's a big boy, a road grader. So I'm looking forward to seeing him compete on the line and help us to pave the way and help our running game get up to speed as it was in 2021. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him and giving additional depth and some experience. And I believe he comes in with 3 years of eligibility. So we have an opportunity to continue to mold him, grow him, and develop his talents. So I'm looking forward to having him be part of the line and help us pursue superb pass protection and also improve our running game.
Hey, our good friend, our other Marcus, told us, says in the chats that he's from out of Middle Georgia, so Wilkinson County High School, right there in Middle Georgia, the Macon area, Wilco Warrior, which is a basketball school. So I gotta feel. I wonder, hey Marcus, in the chats, is he one of those young men that found some time playing basketball as well? I mean, look, the young man is 6'4", 312. Now I don't know if that's what he bulked up to after a year or two at Jacksonville State, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did play a little hoops at least a couple of years in high school. Wouldn't be surprised. Um, Big guy. Hey, one of the interesting stats, Kelvin and Kofi, and I'll let you guys jump in here. What was it that Coach Simmons said about offensive line, Marcus? We've only lost one. Was that correct in what he said in his
He
press
mentioned,
conference?
he mentioned in the press
I have
conference
something for you.
that they only lost one offensive lineman.
I have something for you too.
Hold on for a second. Let me close that. Yeah, you mentioned we only
What
lost one offensive lineman. Sorry about that interruption. One
right.
offensive lineman off for this year, and I believe it's Colvin. I think he was the senior or the redshirt
Okay.
senior. I'm taking a guess. I haven't looked at the roster, but he's the one I believe was the upperclassman. So we're looking to have some folks, a lot of returnees on the offensive line, and he'll add to the talent and depth. And we'll also be returning Cesar Reyes. I believe went out in the first game at University of North Carolina. He's a transfer from USF from
South
last
Florida.
summer.
Yeah, South Florida.
And we played a couple freshmen this year and redshirt freshmen like TJ Dimas, and we had TJ Lee playing. So we had a lot of young talent. And so between that and the transfers we brought in last summer, we look to have a lot of depth on the offensive line. So he's adding to the talent. So I don't know if it's necessarily, I mean, you always want to build up the trenches. So I don't know if it was like desperation need, but, adding some talent and building depth will always keep us in the mix so that we have if we have untimely injuries, or even if we just want to rotate people out, that we're not having any drop off.
Go ahead, Kelvin. Any thoughts you want to add in there? There's a question that Keith asked about: was he a part of the Florida State, or I'm sorry, was he a part of the Jacksonville State team that beat Florida State? When was that? How many years ago was that? 1 or 2 years ago?
Two
Okay.
years, not this season, but last season.
Okay. So
And
he would have been a true freshman on that team.
right, he was probably there, but I don't know if he was on the travel squad. But that DB kid who was in the transfer reporter from Jacksonville State was there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Decory.
So they played. He's played against good competition at a pretty high level. So I anticipate him coming in and being able to contribute immediately. And he had some girth to our team. We were pretty long last year and so forth. Uh, but we were also kind of lean, particularly on the edges, and So I think we got a few people eaters coming in. Mountain movers.
I love it. People eaters, mound movers. Love it. Love it. Kof, what do you want to add? I thought he wanted to add something. Maybe he didn't. All right. So, to our knowledge, we got about 4 returners on the offensive line coming back. Kofi, do you want to add something in there about the
Yeah,
offensive
I
line?
think, just really one of the things that since Coach Simmons has been here, one of the things that he's done, knowing that we needed bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic linemen, is to continue to try to add I want to say that skill set, understanding that when we were in the MEAC, that if we were going to really compete for a title and compete against the North Carolina A&Ts and the South Carolina States, and even the Howards, we needed to beef up front if we were going to have a legitimate chance to win the conference and, play postseason ball, win either the Celebration Bowl or even the NCAA playoffs. We needed to do that. And he's done that effectively. I want to also say that, Coach Devin has really opened up the lanes when it comes to Coach Devin Rispers has opened up the lanes when it comes to our recruitment, the language of recruiting, the contacts, the relationships, all of those things, where we were at, 50 to 100 people that we were communicating with, it's now literally, I would dare say, the thousands, largely due to Coach Devin and what he has brought to the table. And it affects everything that we do, from getting the volume and getting the number of communication that's out there, getting the language out there, but then also, this helps to monetize the camps, as well, and get the camps to another level, which helps our coaches be able to evaluate potential players and ballers on site and even offer them scholarships, which is where I believe this is going. So, just the way that the staff has been structured, the way that Coach Simmons has brought people in that understand their lanes, understand how to recruit, it's a big deal. So I didn't want to miss out on any of that communication as well.
Well said. Well said. All right, our next signee. Now, this is a young man I'm really excited about. I think when we think of signees over the last couple of years defensively, and then turn around in terms of add to production, I mean, obviously, the last 2 years, I think you think Isaiah Major. Before that, you think of Williams on the corner, but I think this young man, or on the end rather, but I think this young man, Sharif Shea, 6'5". Let me say
That
that
boy
again.
from Wakanda.
6'5", 250, and you better get the last name right, because Shea means honor. And I'm giving that one to producer Mel, who looked that one up. So, that name, he's a defensive end, linebacker. I'm excited to see what this young man brings to camp. Marcus, tell us about Sharif.
Well, he's a big boy, as you saw, 6'5", 245 to 255 out of Texas. He's been around. He's class of 2018, and he initially signed with a school in Daytona in 2018. Not sure everything that would happen, but somehow he ended up at Southeastern Louisiana. I do not recall if he was in the game when we played in the playoff game last year. But and I also saw he graduated. He was part of the graduating class, I guess last week or 2 weeks ago. So he's coming in as a graduate transfer. And so, just bringing size and depth and ability off the end. I saw some of his practice tape, just in some of the game film. I mean, he looks, once again, to be able to create some havoc, bring some size, and add to the rotation so that we can have continual pressure on the quarterback. And he's adding height. So, typically what we've seen from some of our D tackles tend to be on the shorter, stronger, and stouter kind of build, and then we have some height on the ends. But once again, it's the last couple of years or so, Coach Simmons and a lot of the recruiting has upped the ante in terms of the size and overall physical stature of some of the folks that we're recruiting, from the defensive end, offensive line, and even trying to get a stouter and taller up front with the defensive tackle. So I think this is concurrent with that same thing.
Kofi, what do you want to add there about Sharif?
He's athletic, man. I mean, we're talking about trench play. You can't get enough good, solid trench players, people that know how to, that are athletic enough to get around the corner, pull stunts. It changes what you do. It gives your guys fresh legs as the game deepens. you need warriors up there, people that can make plays, and he's one of those guys.
Yes, indeed. Kelvin, what do you want to add?
He's a guy that has played on a team that has made the FCS playoffs the last 2 years.
Yes.
So he's
And
played.
beat
So he's played
UIW.
against good. So he's played against good competition, and he's played with good competition, and so he should good another guy who brings just great size, 6'5", 250, man. I mean, so you look for him to come in right away and contribute and add to the depth that we already have at the DN spot. It's gonna be. I feel sorry for them offensive tackles next year, who have to go against FAMU.
Dark Cloud
It ain't
defense
gonna be
getting
no
darker.
fun.
Nah, it's getting darker. That Dark Cloud defense is just getting darker out there for opposing offensive units. I'm glad you brought up the fact that at Southeastern that he's been to the playoffs the last 2 years, had success. He knows, so that means he's been in the mix, in the hunt, fighting for a conference championship and the postseason stuff that comes with it. So I believe he's got a COVID year. So if he's coming in as a grad transfer, he's coming in as a grad transfer with 2 years of eligibility, I believe.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that man, just we brought in a 6'5" and a 6'4". Good gets today
Yes.
for FAMU, definitely.
And we
Definitely.
Yeah, but
and
I
we
also
see
want to
from
say that he plays in a league where you have to rush the passer. If you don't rush the passer, the quarterback's going to be back there and they will pick you apart. It's a whole passing league. So being able to get and have a guy up front that's gone after the Lindsey Scotts of the world, that's practiced against top-notch quarterback play, that's seen all kinds of fronts, all kinds of looks, all of that stuff really is going to bode well for what we're trying to accomplish on the Heights of Seven Hills.
All right, let's turn to our next signee, and this is a young man that we're still hoping that we have on a little bit later in the show, and it's Levontai Summersett, a running back, one of the few high school signees who committed all the way back in March, as we talked about earlier. Marcus, tell us about Levontai Summersett.
well, hopefully he can come on and give us a little in depth of his game. But I mean, he reminds me. Gosh, can't think of his number net right. Number 3 for us a couple years ago, transferred to Georgia Tech. His name is on the tip of my tongue. And Zende Ray just reminds me in terms of his running, in terms of his flexibility, in terms of running and catching. And I don't know. I wanted to ask him because I think he's also played on defense for North Fort Myers.
Yep.
And so I wanted to ask him if he's being recruited as a running back or athlete and which side of the ball they envision him on. But I'm hoping he stays on offense because all the numbers are there, the skill, the fight, the dog in him. You just see the running, and he was going off in the playoffs. And so I'm just excited to see him to add to our running back depth, and hopefully that'll continue to flourish in like a 2021 type level where we just have wave upon wave of speed, strength, and skill just coming at SWAC defenses and whoever we play, in addition to accurate passing. So I just looking at his running, most of his running highlights, you just see him being able to cut in and out, cutting out of his breaks, whether he's bouncing it outside or running it up the middle. So it gives us the option of we're not limited based on size or someone's ability on where we call the run plays, trying to outrun to the flat. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him play and get in the mix in the running back room.
Hey, just looking at the bio, in 4 years, Summersett compiled a total of 3,441 yards and 26 touchdowns, Listen to the breakdown. This is why he's listed as an athlete, because this is what athletes do, right? 1,900 yards rushing, 928 receiving. He even threw for 611 yards passing. That was the 34-41, right? 26 touchdown, 20 of 21 rushing, 4 receiving, even had a pick 6 included in there. And you mentioned the fact that he played defense, had 171 tackles over those 4 years and 8 interceptions. So here's a young man who played since his freshman year. This is a big. You know who this reminds me? What was the young man's name? And I know it didn't work out. The young man from up in small town, Bluntstown. Remember that recruit that we had, and he was just name escapes me. So I don't want
He
to
was the
forget.
running back.
Yeah,
I have
he
to
was
look
a
up his
running
name.
back
He
with
was a running back, and he went off in the state title game against
yes, had like
Madison
600
County.
yards. Madison County, yeah, but he just put up numbers, ridiculous numbers.
Give me a quick
Unfortunately, I
second.
didn't. Yeah, unfortunately, we never saw him at FAM. But Kelvin, what's your thoughts on Bo?
I'm gonna keep it real simple. He played in Fort Myers area, Metro. They call it Metro now, but he played at a high level against high level competition. The particular school he at was not considered, a powerhouse school, but because of his talents, they became a force in the area. Um, eh, he equally good on offense and defense, but like Marcus said, I hope they keep him on offense because he just do so many things. He played quarterback. He did catch the ball out the backfield or at receiver. He did run the ball, and all he did was just score. I mean, he got plenty of tapes and clips. And this is a young man who had actually Group of Five and Power Five offers. All right, he chose FAMU. He wanted to be a Rattler. He had options. So this is somebody Rattler Nation really need to be excited about. This is
definitely.
one of those kids. Generally when you get kids out of high school, you ain't looking for them to contribute right away. But if they good enough, then they're just good enough. This kid good enough.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of those gets. Kofi, your thoughts on Bo?
Man, we've been waiting on him. we've been waiting on him. Just like we waiting on him tonight. So, we really desire. We've been looking for him for it seems like forever, and now the time has finally come where he's going to be able to make a contribution on the Heights of Seven Hills. I love his size, his physicality. And when you have guys like that with that kind of size and speed, the combination, what I like was his ability to make moves, to make people miss. And I like his hands. He can do a number of different things. And it's good to have people with that skill set, because they're, creatively, offensively, there's a number of different things you can do. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to give away too many ideas. But you can do a number of different things, even in those moments where Musa won't necessarily be able to run, or you don't want Musa out there to run. You got somebody in there that could potentially play QB and run from a multiple back set, and give your opponents a different look. And he can throw. So, it doesn't make us one-dimensional there. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, apparently, who was it? Demetra Alford was saying there seemed to be a lot of people who were surprised that he chose FAMU over UM. I think UM was one of those Power Fives that that just speaks. That just speaks to what we have going on. There might even be, if I recall, some FAMU ties, whether it be possibly within the family, that also may have helped spur that on. Yeah.
Scotty out
All
there
right. Let's.
talking about it's too much orange on our show. Well, it's the orange
Well,
and green strike zone, Joker. It's the orange and green.
I mean, that,
Need to get you
it
some
is
more
what it is.
orange.
We are
Need to
what
get
we
him some
are.
more orange.
We try. We try. There's still room. Now that Jackson State is gone, there's still room over here. Come on, we coming. We coming. There's still room to come on
I
the
don't need
FAMU
Scotty to
bandwagon.
jinx us. I don't need Scotty to jump on this bandwagon. He ain't jumping on
Oh,
the bandwagon after 59-3
is
last
that
year.
what it
He ain't
is?
jumping back on that one.
All right, well, good. Okay. All right, well, I'm glad we got that squared away. All right, next up, we lost two All-American punters, uh, I believe, correct? In
Yes.
One
although,
punter, one
of
place
course,
kicker.
Kill them
right,
punter.
but hey, Romo Martinez said that he proved he can punt as well as he
That's
had to
true.
do
That's true.
the year Fadul got hurt. So we lost two punters, All-American punters, and so right into the early signing period, we pick up Corey Trey Wilhoit III, who is a punter, another Tallahassee hometown guy, coming home with at least 2 to 3 years of eligibility. Transfer from Eastern Illinois. Marcus, tell us about Trey.
Now usually don't get excited about a punter. That's not really like an exciting position. But I'm really excited because Fadul, that was my guy. I mean, he could flip the field if we didn't happen to score or get too far along, he would flip the field and be able to put the defense in a good position to make the other team have to drive the length of the field. And this guy's the same way. And he came out of Childs in 2020. Didn't in 2020 was kind of hard, and he didn't get very many offers. So he went out JUCO, and all he did his freshman year was lead JUCO in punting average. Then he got offers from Eastern Illinois, went there, and he was a semifinalist for the award for the top punter for this year, and literally jumped in the portal in the first week of December. I'm not sure exactly why, but he jumped in the portal, and fortunate for us, he wanted to come back home. So I think it'll help us reduce or even not even have an issue with any drop off with flipping field positions. So I'm really excited about him coming on board, him coming back home, and making sure that our special teams remain special.
Well said. Well said. Anything you want to add in there, Kelvin?
I'll just add that kid is tough too. He played defense at Childs too, as well as being a punter. So he'll stick his head in there if need be. He need to make that game saving tackle. But again, I don't. I know the local kids talk a lot with each other. I know we have the kid from Leon who's gonna probably be doing our field goal kicking, who was a All American high school kid coming out last year. So I'm not sure if they have a relationship or not. But we are doing a great job of blanketing the city in terms of talent, both out of the high school realm as well as when kids get somewhere and they want to come back home. I think that's a special sauce there. It's going to help attendance. Those kids, they got more eyes on them, being at home, so they tend to matriculate through better. And then, of course, they want to perform at a high level because they got people in the stands. So I just think it's a win-win. I love that the kids feel that way about FAMU, um, and doing their part in recruiting and come to represent our orange and green. It's great for the community.
Indeed.
Let me
Kofi, what
jump
do you
in real
have?
quick,
Oh, go ahead.
Brian.
Go
Let me
ahead.
jump in real quick. That Trey Wilhoit also this year he was all Ohio Valley Conference first team in special teams, and he made third team for special teams in the Stats Perform FCS All American team. So we're getting somebody with some strong accolades that are pretty much on par, or just slightly below a little bit, depending on the season of what we're losing in Fadul. So just having that same quality of player to come in, I think, is a testament to the recruiting.
Well
And the
said.
special
And
Go
teams
ahead.
coach.
let me just add to that. Let me just add that whole local thing has always been, I want to say, a focus of Coach Simmons since he's been back. But not to keep giving Coach Devin his accolades, but he knows the local area, having coached in the local area at Rickers and at Godby. So having being able to be on the ground on first level and the number of jamborees that we've had to get eyes on these people, to be a part of different recruiting communities in Tallahassee, that's a big deal. So kudos again to Coach Depp.
Yeah, just looking at some of the film, just look at those boomers that that Trey is knocking out of the park. All right, that's eight recruits signed. Let's get to the last one of the 9 before we take a break, and that is DeCorian Deco Wilson, a defensive back. I hope I'm saying that right. Deco. Hopefully it's DeCorian Wilson, defensive back from out of Talladega, another Jacksonville State transfer. You mentioned him a little bit earlier there, Kelvin. Marcus, tell us about DeCorian.
Well, he comes in class of 2020, and he's an athlete because he was also on the state finalist basketball team in the spring of 2020. And so, we're getting someone who has some good size to him, 6'1", 200 pounds or so. I don't know to what degree, in terms of his playing time with Jacksonville State. But once again, he's going to come in hungry. He has a ability to play both defense and special teams. And so once again, he'll add to the depth that will for our defensive backfield to give us the flexibility to rotate in and out, keep everybody fresh, but also to make sure that we're locking down some of those offenses that we're going to see coming up in the SWAC this year. And it of course, comes with experience. So having played in the OVC and having seen some of the competition there in the conference and out of conference, being able to leverage that experience plus his talent and obvious athletic ability to help us make sure that we're keeping our defense straight.
Looks like he's showing off some wide receiving skills as well there, probably in some of that high school film. My goodness. What do you want to add in there, Kofi?
No, I like the movement to the ball. You can't ever have enough speed. When you get that level of explosion and I want to say play recognition, movement to the ball, that's a big deal. This guy's also a playmaker. Like I said before, you see people run past people. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Run past the people that's already there. Run past them. You're faster than them. So that's unless you're playing against somebody. Look at that right there. That's just good play. That's good ball play.
That was like,
and you need that in the SWAC where we got a lot of mobile QBs who were killing us this year. You got and with the addition of what Alcorn State got with the kid from Missouri, and we going up against Andrew Body next year, bro. We gotta have people out there with some speed.
Okay, here we go. Let's wait for this here.
He had to wait for it.
Yeah, he had to wait for it. Yeah, I'm noticing in some of the high school film, he was all over the place, man. He was some receiver. On that one play that you were just talking about, Kofi, he had his hand in the ground, playing almost like a D end or an outside linebacker. I mean, blowing up the spot. I didn't know if he was. I had to go back and look at his size because that very first video, hell, I thought he was a linebacker for a second. I'm like, dude, the way he just blew that spot up. I'm like, dude came in there. So I don't know if he's a safety, but anyway,
he's a safety.
Okay, that would make sense.
But let me just say this. In addition to that, one of the things that I felt that Coach, one of the key statements that he made this year was after the first game, where he stated this was the worst game I've ever coached, et cetera, et cetera. But he stated that we kept giving Shadur the same picture over and over and over and over and over again. But when you have different pieces with speed, you can give quarterbacks different looks. You can do different things from blitz packages. And I want to see us grow in that area going into 2023.
Well said. Kelvin, I'm going to give you the last word before we go to break.
Yeah, so I hate to do this to this young man, but he I think he can handle it. So he did play against Florida State. He got a lot of he played a lot this year too. I mean, he had like 50 some tackles, right? So he's played against top notch competition. He actually made some plays against Florida State, as a matter of fact, as a sophomore. Um, with his size and speed, I'm thinking Marquise Bell. Now he has to come in and do that, but he has that kind of portfolio. He has that kind of size. He has that kind of speed. He has that kind of production in him, and that's what I see him as. I see him as a safety that can do it all, can cover in space, can make plays, be a ball hawk, and definitely can hit. Very physical. If you watch his Jacksonville State film, very physical kid. Uh, so I'm really excited about this. This is our eraser on the back end of the defense.
Well said. The Eraser. There it is. New nickname, The Eraser. Hey, we've got to talk about, on the other side of this break, a few names that are committed but haven't signed just yet. One of them, a lot of buzz on the internet this morning, a lot of buzz about this commit. So we will talk about him and a couple other names that we probably, if we don't see sometime over the next 24, 48 hours, we'll probably see, hopefully, signing with that next group in the first week of February. Let's take a break, come back for our final segment. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm returning to Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being heard.
Welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway, Marcus Greene. The team is all here, assembled. We just went through the 9 signees, are part of this early signing class. We don't know just yet if there'll be a few more, but we want to spotlight a few names that are committed that we know. Marcus has been tracking a couple of these names. One name just popped on the radar today, so we don't know if they will sign this week or if they will be part of the signing period in the spring. One thing that did come out of the presser, Coach Simmons did say, now this was prior to, Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong, this was prior to the 9th signee, but during the presser we only had 8, and he gave an inclination that 7 of the 8 will be on campus for the spring and spring workouts and spring practice. Is that correct, what you heard?
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. I don't want to make any presumptions about who is who, but I'd imagine he was speaking of all the transfers.
Yeah,
Because
that'd be my guess. Yeah, but we'll wait to see. Obviously, we'll get a better read on that in January. All right, let's go to the committed guys, Marcus. Just quickly, let us know who are the 3 committed guys that we learned about or have known about that we're still waiting on their official NLIs.
All right. Well, the other high school player so far, Justin Bostic, is a 3-star defensive back out of Palm Beach Central High School. He committed, I want to say, just after Labor Day. So, it was right after, we had our, issue with Jackson State. But, he sounds really strong to stay with FAM. So hopefully everything will come through in February if he doesn't sign now during the early signing period, which I believe is just today through Friday. The second is Amari Lee, a transferred defensive back out of South Florida. I think he's out of North Miami Beach High School. And so hopefully he'll get signed through, and once again adding depth to our defensive backfield and making sure everything's taken care of back there. So he's got pretty good size.
I saw that picture and I thought we signed 2 people. I wasn't really sure what was going on with that picture. These kids and these graphics, man, they be killing me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And the last one is Jaquez Yant, another Tallahassee native out of Godby High School, a big running back. And looking at his film, they have various highlights of him against Purdue or Northwestern. He reminds me a lot.
Here's Yant, the former walk-on.
It reminds me a lot of Jalen McLeod, maybe a little faster, but he's a big boy. I think he's like 6'2", 230.
Get off me.
So he's going to make people now. He's going to make people make it a business decision on whether they want to tackle him or not. So I can see him filling in that same role as Jalen McLeod and giving us some thunder to go with the Lightning that we hopefully have with a healthy Destin Coates and Kelvin Dean. So I can see us just like
feet.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
For a big guy,
be that big, moving like that.
Mm-hmm.
6'2",
and he came through this morning. He was one that got announced, I believe, at 10 a.m. this morning as a commitment.
Yeah.
So that's once again. I think that makes about
buzz about that.
Yeah, I think there was about 4. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kelvin Coben. That makes about 3 or 4 Tallahassee natives or Big Bend area folks that are coming back as transfers.
But let's look at this also, right? So you got Destin Coates coming back off of injury from Tallahassee. Yep. You got DeAndre Francis from Tallahassee. You got Kelvin Dean. Rutgers. You got Kelvin Dean from Tallahassee, and now you got Jaquez also from Tallahassee, just in the backfield alone.
Don't forget Leland Wilhoit.
He's not from Tallahassee.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were going with the Tallahassee team. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought. I'm sorry.
The Indiana boy got to get the Midwest kid in there.
Right. Actually, Wilhoit's not. I didn't even bring up the Indiana guy. See, I was just going. I could have mentioned him. Anyway, I'm not gonna stop trying to defend my.
We have some pieces in the backfield. We got some pieces in the backfield, so just putting it. And plus, you didn't even mention the freshman we got last year, between the young man from Eagles Landing that got a couple minutes playing.
So Marcus, let me ask this question. Okay, so we got 9 official signees. What do you anticipate the class number to be? I mean, will it be on that average of 23 to 25 by the end of the day? By the end
I think
of
so.
February,
I think Coach Simmons said last week they may have room for a full class. So I'm anticipating, he may load up on, well, not load up. I don't want to say the wrong, that we may be transfer heavy now because of the window and everything else. And then look towards the high school recruits and any suitable transfers, but I think just looking at who they've offered and who's committed, he's hitting areas of need. I guess one area, and I'd have to look at the roster just to make sure, but one area I'd like to see is defensive tackle. It seems like we have a lot of defensive ends and maybe some folks that can slide down. But if I remember correctly, we're looking at Richard Summers, perhaps Stanley Mentor, and Donald Hall all being upperclassmen, who may or may not return based on eligibility. So that's three of our defensive tackles. I don't know what our depth looks like there. I'd have to look at the roster once again. But building back, and I know we switched Michael Marshall. I think he was playing backup offensive line based on injury. So I don't know if he's going back. He's a three-star that we got out of Miami 2 years ago. So I don't know if he's going back on the defensive line at DT or what our depth looks like there. So I guess that's the one area I haven't seen. Well, we haven't seen a transfer. We've seen a couple offers, but nothing, no bites just yet. So I'm waiting to see how that turns out. But Coach Simmons said he's expecting a full class, and I've seen. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like something sweeping, but we've offered like 4 or 5 long snappers in the last 3 weeks. So
Gotta
we've
go
offered a
fishing.
lot of long.
Gotta go fishing, baby. Somebody's got to bite. Somebody's got to bite. Come on now. So,
So we've offered. So they're building up the special teams between, making sure we have sufficient talent there to fill in the void, step in the gap for Fadul and Romo Martinez leaving. So between kickers, we've had a few offers, punters, a few offers, and long snappers, at least 5 or 6, a couple high school, and a few transfers. So we're putting that out there, making sure special teams is up to par. And so they're doing all their due diligence as we would expect them to do to make sure we have quality depth. And as Coach Simmons mentioned in his press conference, they're not looking at transfers just to say they're doing it. They're making sure people are the right fit. So everyone who may get an offer and everyone who's a transfer isn't going to be a fit until they do their vetting and understand who the person happens to be and whether he'll fit in the culture.
all right. let's let's do a little housekeeping here because we got a lot to just kind of briefly touch on before we close out today's show. All-Americans, a couple of more All-American awards were announced for Xavier Smith and Isaiah Land, both of whom I believe Isaiah Land was second team All-American by Stats Perform. Xavier Smith was third team. So there's Isaiah Land, recognized second team All-American. So I would think consensus All-American for Land and Xavier, as I think they ended up on either first, second, or third on pretty much everybody's All-American. So congratulations to those two for representing FAMU very well. I think also I saw BJ Bowler get an invitation and accept an invitation to the Legacy Bowl, which also I think Isaiah Land has an invitation to. So that's good news for those guys. Final score from our men's basketball game at Kentucky, their first ever trip to Rupp Arena, historic game. They I think it was 86-66. So 20-point loss. I think that was the final score. Represented themselves well. Um, you know, went over the total. So your boy came away feeling good. And so not an overall bad weekend in Kentucky for FAMU, but the fact is we still haven't got a win against the Division I team. And pretty soon the season non-conference is coming to an end, and January will be here, and the first game against Bethune-Cookman will be on the 2nd of January. So we'll talk more about that next week. Unofficial football dates. We were talking about this on the back rooms, fellas. Kofi, can I give out some of these dates unofficially? And I say unofficially because, yes, we're going to put the date out there, but until obviously the university and the athletic program put it out, it won't be quote unquote official. But you see these dates and then you let us know if you see anything different. We good with that, Kofi?
Unofficial. We can say it's unofficial. Let's say alleged.
Well,
Allegedly.
Okay, allegedly
Allegedly.
these are the dates for some games this year. Again, this is allegedly unofficial, however you want to say it. You
From
know,
the
we could
Negro
be
News Network.
the
NNN.
NNN is back, people, and we just wanted to let you know the Negro News Network has gotten some intel, and we just wanted to give you the alleged football schedule.
All right, September 3rd, we all know that we're playing Jackson State again in the Orange Blossom Classic. Of course, this time it'll be head coach T.C. Taylor that'll be leading Jackson State down to South Florida.
Whoop
Hip, hip,
that
hooray.
trick. Whoop,
Yeah.
sorry.
Now, we do know that we allegedly believe that September 23rd will be the first home game in Bragg Stadium against Alabama State on September 23rd. Of course, you know, we've beaten Bama State 2 times. The last 2 we played them. Southern. FAMU travels to Southern University October 7th. So, you know, get that one scheduled. October 7th. Then FAMU will make their first trip out to Houston, Texas, out there, home of Beyonce and all the other folks in Houston. October 21st. So that'll be October 21st. And what that means is homecoming right now appears to be on October 28th. By the way, folks have reserved hotel rooms in Tallahassee. It would seem like homecoming is going to be the weekend of October 28th. I've heard that hotels are sold out. So I mean, you put 2 and 2 together.
However, let me say this: there are over 300 rooms available with Airbnb. 300 properties available with Airbnb.
Better get on them now.
And I checked on that, and they have some nice 5-bedroom houses that are available as well. So, you know, and that's much cheaper than the Tallahassee hotels. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, there you go. So that's Prairie View. Prairie View folks
And
are
that's
already
versus Prairie View.
Yes, so Prairie View folks are already circling that as a date where they think they're gonna come in the streak in Bragg. So they kind of circling that one. Alabama A&M. We travel to Alabama A&M allegedly on November 4th. November 18th would be the Florida Classic. That we can say that with certainty will be the last game of the regular season. So we don't have to allege that. That'll be when it's going to be. Any other games or dates in there that we think we know, Kofi, Kelvin, that we didn't just mention there?
We didn't mention University of South Florida, and we didn't mention the University of West Florida.
Yes, that's right. West Florida. Now that's okay. So the West Florida game, Division II opponent, a very good Division II team, won a national championship just a few seasons ago. That might be the first home game. So instead of playing Albany State or Fort Valley State, that potentially might be the first home game. The South Florida game would probably follow the Miami game.
Correct.
And that gives us room for one or two
more
games. One more game. You kind of had some breaking news that last week that you didn't think South Carolina State was going to be on the schedule, correct?
I know they're not going to be on the schedule. Now, that's a fact.
Okay. All right. So, interesting to see
unless something changes. Unless something changes, they will not be on the schedule.
Right. Well, we're interested to see how that will shake out. Okay. Anything anybody else wants to add quickly about the schedule, potential schedule? Any thoughts? Anybody want to add something quickly?
Do we know who the third out of conference?
No, we don't. We don't know who the other out of conference is at this point, and I do not like the D2 game with West Florida. It makes less sense than playing the D2 HBCU.
Well, wait a second. Who's the
They're
other
more dangerous
in-conference?
team.
Who's the other in-conference
Say
team?
that again.
Who's the other in-conference team? Because I got Jackson State, Bama State, Southern.
No,
We're missing Valley.
Valley. No, not
Yeah,
Valley.
because they're the only other East team that's not scheduled or that we haven't heard a date for.
Oh, yeah, Valley is in the East. Yeah, that's right.
Because we've got our 3 West. We got Texas Southern, Prairie View, and Southern. And we got 4 out of the 5 SWAC East opponents. So we're missing the date for Valley.
All right, so Kelvin, I feel like I interrupted you there. You were saying that you were adamant about how you didn't like the D2 West Florida choice.
I don't like the D2 West Florida choice. First of all, I thought we was trying to do away from D2, but if we're gonna do D2, let's keep our HBCUs relationship and give them that money and bring their fan base here. So that's my only criticism. If we're gonna play a PWC, it need to be FCS or ES.
Right. Yeah, I'd rather play Florida Memorial. I mean, or Edward Waters, if we don't go that route. All right, so we got to, here as we're getting towards the close of the show, the Celebration Bowl, Celebration Bowl 7, an outstanding game. I was in attendance for it. I was there as part of the search committee for FAMU 2023. So I can tell you, Rattler Nation, you want to be there. So you want to go ahead and reserve any hotel rooms that you can get now for Atlanta 2023, because it is a great event. With that said, the game this year went down last play, overtime. I'm not gonna say Central shocked the world, because if you listen to me, I told you make some money off Central and the points. I told you to even sprinkle a little money on the money line. So let's go around the horn quickly, guys. Your thoughts on Celebration Bowl 7, Kelvin?
Yep. I thought Central stayed true to what we said about Jackson State the whole year, right? Even before FAMU played and after we played. Run the ball, be physical with them. They play those all those DBs and stuff, and they play man, so they have to turn their back to the quarterback. Now Central had a quarterback that is a difference maker. So but Jackson State gotta give them credit. They played with heart. They were missing some pieces up front on the defensive side. They had about Gaddy didn't play, and they had a couple other guys that didn't play that game that was in order. And but at the end of the day, they at halftime they were up, and Central just made some excellent. Man, their coaching was off. Was A1. The fake punt call was just amazing. The 2-point conversion play. They did a great job of keeping Shadur off the field, particularly in this third quarter, because Shadur was killing it. I mean, Shadur is one of those quarterbacks. His IQ is so high now; he's so accurate that if he on the field, you pretty much assuming he gonna have points. If they had the ball 4 times, they're gonna score three of those times. He's to that point. He's that good with his supporting cast. So Central kept coming back. They were the more physical team, and then I feel so bad for the kid who dropped the ball, because it was a great game, and that game would have still been going, and we don't know how it would have happened. But at the end of the day, Central and the MEAC, they won again.
Go ahead, go for your thoughts. Celebration Bowl 7.
Fly, Eagles, fly, and moving on to victory. No, but seriously, they, I knew that 16 and a half point differential was just ridiculous. That was a whole lack of respect. And, I was watching the press conference when Ashley Robinson called North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T, and I was watching the level of anger that was coming from Trey Oliver, their head coach. And I knew that he was going to use that as motivation for his team. When a team has bulletin board material for at least 4 days, they are really going to be dialed in. It's already a national championship game. But I'm just curious as to, I know Dion was, really trying to prove a point and really be a disciplinarian, but in your championship game, you suspend Gaddy for the entire game. So I'm wondering if it was something deeper than just that one tardy. It had to have been something more for him to suspend him for the entire game. I don't know what kind of point you're going to make in a championship game like that when other people are dependent on that one player, unless he had multiple offenses. That being said, I mean, going back to what Kelvin said about the running the football, one of the keys to beating Jackson State is having good, solid QB play. If you have good, solid QB play and physicality up front, you can do it. And North Carolina Central had both. The stiff arm that dude, oh my God, that was just the stiff arm heard in the entire universe. People in the metaverse was talking about that stiff arm that he.
Yeah,
disrespectful.
Collier's stiff arm was next level, and you heard the backstory about that was that Collier felt like number 7 of Jackson State was one of the biggest talkers leading into the game, and so he searched him out. Yeah, we got you. Go ahead, finish your points, Kofi.
Did you hear talk about the stiff arm? Because I was talking for a long time and people
Yeah.
didn't move.
Yes.
Yeah. We got that.
Yeah, the stiff arm was just, to me, just reminiscent. Like last year, the South Carolina State people was throwing the Jackson State players everywhere all over the field, but that stiff arm just spoke volumes. But it goes back to that whole running thing. If you have a big physical running back or just a physical running back at all, as good as Jackson State's secondary is, they're good at defending the pass, but they're not good when it comes to tackling physical running backs. You got to be able to get your running backs to that second level. If you do, you're going to have an opportunity for big plays. I've seen, Grambling had a big play off the ground. Southern's QB was good off the ground. The one that they decided to play when the game was out of hand. And then, even Terrell Jennings in the first year that we played Jackson State, when he got to that second level, it was a big deal. But that's the case really with most good, solid running teams, is if you can get your big physical backs to that second level where the DBs are having to make tackles, you're going to be in good shape.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, just to build on both of Kelvin and Kofi's points. Physical play, time of possession, and making your possessions count. North Carolina Central did all of those. They didn't come in phased. And I'm not sure. I know there was a 16.5 point spread, and that in and of itself was kind of disrespectful considering the out of conference schedule that North Carolina Central played. They beat a playoff team in New Hampshire, and I think they had at least one other notable out of conference win. I don't remember the full schedule.
Tennessee
so
Tech.
It's not like Tennessee Tech. So they came in playing some teams that were from conferences that had auto bids. And I don't know if Tennessee Tech made the playoffs, but New Hampshire certainly did.
No, they didn't.
And so they've gone through the gauntlet. So I guess it was more of a testament to Jackson State and the eye-popping numbers they put up, and I guess the Dion effect that made the point spread that big versus actually looking at NC Central. But they came out with a point to prove, and they proved it. And also the other point I want to make, I think the numbers were slightly lower from a viewership standpoint. I want to say it was like 2.59 million last year versus like 2.45, and those might not be the right numbers. But the way the game played out and the excitement and the going to overtime was like the cherry on top of all the attention and hopefully some monetary funds that follow that attention afterwards, after all this whole year and the last 2 years of Coach Prime, HBCU Renaissance, all these types of things. That's the type of game that you want to have on ABC on the first weekend of the bowl games, to have a high profile coach going to overtime against the underdog and the underdog prevailing. So I hope we take advantage and leverage that game and the excitement that it generated and the excitement that we've had over the last 2 years. But for those of us who are HBCU fans and followers, the excitement we've always had, and we leverage that going forward.
I said this earlier this week. That was the game that catapults this event, this bowl, to the next level. I mean, it really does. You had an undefeated team coming in. You had the star power and attraction. You had the team that within the HBCU community, we knew Central was good. I mean, hell, these were the two undisputed teams that were 1 and 2 in everybody's poll. We knew Central was good, you know. So only some strange people in Vegas, somebody who didn't really pay attention all year, and they set a line that was a layup for any. It was a sucker bet, really. What they did is they put out there a sucker bet to say, really? I mean, but that was a layup. I tried to tell you that was a take your mortgage check and your Christmas bonus and go plan for you. You made enough money that you get 2-3 vacations in 2023 off that game. Rarely do you see those kind of games like that during the bowl season, but that game was it. And anybody who knows football knew that game was it. I mean, we would have been floored if Jackson State would have beat them by 2 touchdowns. But that that game was a catapult that I hope leads to equal or bigger crowds every year moving forward, and higher TV ratings going forward. And it definitely should be marketed as such. And I think when FAMU gets there in 2023 against North Carolina Central, man, there's going to be 60,000 people in that building. Kofi,
let me say this.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts. Go ahead.
No, I mean, you know, when it comes to the Celebration Bowl, you know, obviously it was a great game. It was a great atmosphere. Everybody knows, obviously, if FAMU was in the game, what that's going to mean. But I wanted to talk about how that Orange Blossom Classic game just really elevated Jackson State to, I want to say, elite status. You know, that whole 59-3 made them look a whole lot better. Not saying that they weren't good. Obviously, they were good because they went undefeated. But we made them look extra good, you know. And so I think Vegas was looking at the way that they beat us. I think even the Clarion Ledger looked at the way that they beat us. And, you know, they wanted to say, well, hey, you know, Central's probably going to do the same thing. You know,
but they didn't cover the week before, Kofi. That's my point. The week
they
before in
haven't
the
covered
SWAC
the last 3
championship
weeks.
game against Southern, that was a bigger spread. That was 20 and a half. They didn't even cover that against Southern. So, I mean, you know, I get it. Go ahead. Did we lose him?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kofi. Go ahead.
Yeah, all I'm saying is our performance against Jackson State elevated that line. And the Vegas people were quite lazy. Had they been paying attention, you know, anybody in their right mind would not have put Jackson State, especially with the way that they were coming down the stretch. Andrew Body and them played well against them. Alcorn had them dead to rights. If they had not turned the ball over, Alcorn would have beaten them. If Alcorn had a QB with a better arm that was more accurate, they would have beat Jackson State. You know, so, you know, knowing that North Carolina Central had the type of QB that was accurate enough, but then also physical enough. I mean, he was looking like Vince Young against Jackson State. Straight up. I mean, that's what he looked like. He was athletic.
Yeah,
He was
they didn't want to
throws.
tackle
He
him.
was converting third downs. That's what he looked
them
like.
little DBs. Them little DBs didn't want to come up and hit him. That's for sure.
Mm-mm.
That's the first Vince Young
I mean,
analogy
Alabama
I've heard.
A&M would have beat Jackson State if they had a QB.
Well, let's not go there, but okay. All right. Let's put a bow on this one. It's been a good show. Congratulations again to Coach Simmons, Coach Riz, all of the coaching staff on a great job recruiting and getting the first strikes in. And we are so excited about watching the rest of this class fill out. Welcome to the family, to the 9 young men and their families who have made the commitment to join Rattler Nation. You won't be disappointed. Best decision that you've made in the last 2, 3, 4 years, depending upon where you are and who you are. And so I encourage everyone in Rattler Nation to make sure you go follow these guys on social media. Make sure to go check out at FAMU Athletics, at FAMU_FB, so that you can find these guys. Make sure you go and say, hey, welcome to the family. Welcome. We look forward to seeing you. Follow them on social media. Let these young men know that you care, that you're invested, so on and so forth. That's going to put a
You still there, Marcus?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
yes, definitely. Want to say, is that true? We had Xavier Smith in the house, so
yeah, he's in there.
Okay, what up, X-Man? Good to see you, brother. Congratulations, and thank you, hey man, for a great season, great career. You joined us during the preseason, so
should have sent him a
we
link.
appreciate you. Yeah.
Alumni.
We have to.
That's alumni there.
Alumni now. Exactly. Part of the alumni family. Hey, let's get out of here. On behalf of everyone here with the ONG and the Black College Sports Network, Jericho Broadcasting, we want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. Santa Rozier, Santa Kelvin, and
be nice, don't be naughty.
I know, don't be naughty in there. And Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa to you all. We will see you next Wednesday live for one final show of 2022 for our producer Mel, for Marcus, Kelvin, Kofi. I'm Brian. Peace out, Rattler Nation.